The morning I buried my wife, our son was 500 miles away, celebrating at a pool party. What happened next would destroy everything we'd built as a family and reveal truths I'd been too blind to see for 20 years. The rain fell like tears from heaven as I stood before Eleanor's casket, my trembling hand clutching the single white rose she'd loved so much. The funeral director had saved a chair in the front row, right beside mine, marked with a small card that read, "Reserved for family." It remained empty. "Where's Nathan?" my sister Patricia whispered, her voice barely audible over the organ's mournful hymn. I couldn't answer. My throat had closed around the truth like a vice. My son, our only child, wasn't coming. The call had come at 6 a.m. that morning. I'd been adjusting my black tie with shaking fingers when Nathan's name flashed on my phone screen. "Dad, I'm really sorry, but we can't make it today." His voice was casual, like he was canceling lunch plans. "Can't make it?" The words fell from my mouth, each one heavier than the last. "Your mother's funeral is in 3 hours." I know, but it's Sophia's 30th birthday. We've had this Vegas trip planned for months. The whole friend group is here. She'd be devastated if I left." The phone slipped from my hand, clattering on the bathroom tile. In the mirror, I watched my reflection age 10 years and 10 seconds. Eleanor had been fighting cancer for 2 years. 2 years of chemotherapy, radiation, and sleepless nights. Nathan had visited exactly twice. As the pastor spoke about Eleanor's dedication to family, her unwavering love for her son, I felt something inside me shatter. The congregation sang Amazing Grace, but all I could hear was the echo of Nathan's words. She'd be devastated if I left. What about my devastation? What about his mother's? After the service, as mourners filed past to offer condolences, I overheard Mrs. Chen from next door. "Such a shame about Nathan. Eleanor always made excuses for him, but we all knew." "Knew what? That I'd raised a son who valued a birthday party over his mother's funeral? That Eleanor had died believing her boy would be there to say goodbye?" That night, alone in our empty house, I found Eleanor's journal on her nightstand. Her final entry, written in a shaky hand just days before she passed. "I hope Nathan comes home soon. I've been saving stories to tell him. Robert doesn't know I heard him on the phone last week, begging Nathan to visit. My poor husband, always trying to protect me. I just want to see my boy one more time." The journal fell from my numb fingers. She'd known. She'd been waiting. And he never came. If this story touches your heart, please take a moment to subscribe. Eleanor believed in the power of sharing stories that matter. Don't let hers be forgotten.
3 days after the funeral, Nathan finally called. Not to apologize, but to ask about his inheritance. I was sitting in Eleanor's garden, surrounded by the roses she'd tended with such care, when my phone buzzed. Nathan's name appeared like a slap across the face. "Hey, Dad. How you holding that?" The casualness of it, as if he'd simply missed a dinner, not his mother's funeral, made my chest tighten. "Nathan." I couldn't manage more than his name. "Listen, I know you're probably upset about the funeral thing. Sophia sends her condolences, by the way. But I wanted to talk to you about something important." I waited, knowing with terrible certainty what was coming. "Mom's lawyer called, said something about the will reading next week. I was wondering if you could give me a heads up about what to expect. Sophia and I are looking at houses, and it would really help to know our budget." The roses blurred before my eyes. "Your budget?" "Well, yeah, I'm assuming Mom left me something substantial. The house alone must be worth, what, $2 million? And I know there were investments." I thought of Eleanor in her hospital bed, worried about leaving me alone, never once mentioning money. I thought of the nights she'd cried, not from pain, but from missing her son. "Your mother left you exactly what you gave her in her final years. Nothing. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. That's not funny, Dad. I'm not joking. She changed her will 6 months ago. The house, the investments, everything. It's going to cancer research and a scholarship fund in her name. You're lying. Nathan's voice cracked with rage. You made her do this. You poisoned her against me. No, son. You did that all by yourself. I hung up and blocked his number. Then I went inside and pulled out a box from Eleanor's closet. Every birthday card Nathan had promised to send and didn't. Every Mother's Day that passed without a call. Every Christmas he'd chosen Sophia's family over us. But what broke me was the photo album at the bottom. Pictures of Nathan as a boy. Eleanor's notes in the margins. First day of school, my brave boy. Nathan's piano recital, so proud. Family vacation, best week ever. When had that loving child become a stranger who couldn't even attend his mother's funeral? That evening, Patricia came by with dinner. She found me in Eleanor's study surrounded by financial documents. "Robert, what are you doing? Did you know we paid for Nathan's college, his wedding, the down payment for their first house? Over the years, it's been nearly $800,000? Patricia's face paled. Eleanor mentioned some of it, but... And do you know how many times he visited when she was sick? Twice. 2 times in 2 years. But he had time for 3 vacations to Europe with Sophia? Maybe you should give him a chance to explain. He had his chance. It was called his mother's funeral.
The will reading revealed more than just Eleanor's final wishes. It exposed 20 years of secrets that would tear our family apart forever. The law office of Morrison and Associates occupied the top floor of a gleaming downtown tower. Nathan arrived 15 minutes late, Sophia clutching his arm like a designer handbag. She wore a black dress that probably cost more than Eleanor's monthly chemo treatments. Traffic, Nathan muttered, not meeting my eyes. We sat across from each other like strangers. Had it really only been 2 weeks since Eleanor's death? It felt like a lifetime. Mr. Morrison, Eleanor's lawyer and old friend, cleared his throat. Before we begin, I should mention that Eleanor left a video message to be played during this reading. The screen flickered to life, and there she was, my Eleanor, thin and pale, but still radiating the warmth that had defined her. My dear family, her recorded voice filled the room. If you're watching this, then I'm finally at peace. Robert, my love, you were my everything. 60 years wasn't nearly enough. I gripped the armrest, fighting tears. Nathan, my son, I want you to know that I love you. I've always loved you. But love doesn't mean enabling behavior that goes against everything your father and I tried to teach you. Nathan shifted uncomfortably. Sophia's perfectly manicured nails dug into his arm. Turn it off, Nathan growled. Let her speak, I said quietly. Eleanor continued. I'm leaving the bulk of my estate to establish the Eleanor Foster Foundation for Cancer Research and a scholarship fund for underprivileged students, children who value education and family, unlike my own son, who took both for granted. To Nathan, I leave my mother's pearl necklace, the one you promised to give to Sophia, but never asked for. I hope when she wears it, she thinks of the woman whose funeral you convinced to miss. Sophia's face flushed crimson. And finally, I leave you this truth. Your father begged me not to change the will. He said you'd come around, that you'd remember who you are. But I knew better. You made your choice the day you told him that Sophia's birthday party was more important than saying goodbye to your mother. The video ended. The silence was deafening. Mr. Morrison cleared his throat. There is one more matter. Eleanor discovered something during her illness that she asked me to investigate. Nathan, were you aware that you've been claiming power of attorney over your parents' secondary investment account? My head snapped up. What?
It appears that approximately $200,000 has been withdrawn over the past 5 years under claims of family emergency funds. I stared at my son. You stole from us while your mother was dying? Nathan's face had gone white. It wasn't stealing. You would have given it to us anyway. For what? My voice was rising. For Sophia's shopping sprees? For your golf club memberships? You don't understand the pressure we're under, Nathan exploded. Do you know how expensive it is to maintain our lifestyle? Sophia's friends all have... Get out. The words came out deadly quiet. Dad, get out! If this betrayal shocks you, imagine how Robert felt. Please share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the most important lessons come from the hardest truths.
I thought I knew the depths of my son's betrayal. Then I went to the office Monday morning and discovered how deep the rot really went. Foster Construction had been my life's work, built from nothing with Eleanor's unwavering support. I'd brought Nathan in as vice president 3 years ago, despite Eleanor's quiet concerns. He needs to earn it, Robert, she'd said. He's our son. This will all be his someday anyway. How those words haunted me now. Monday morning, I arrived to find Nathan's office already being cleaned out. My assistant Maria looked uncomfortable. Mr. Foster, I didn't know if I should call you. Nathan came in over the weekend. I surveyed the empty office. What did he take? The client files, his computer, and... She hesitated. He met with the Riverside development team. My blood ran cold. Riverside was our biggest contract, a $50 million project I'd spent 2 years securing. By noon, the truth emerged like a cancer diagnosis. Nathan hadn't just been skimming from our personal accounts. He'd been setting up his own company, Foster & Associates, using our client relationships, our reputation, our everything. Tom Bradley, my CFO and oldest friend, laid out the evidence in my office. He's been approaching our clients for months, Robert, telling them you're planning to retire, that he's taking over. Some believed him. How many? 4 confirmed so far, including Riverside. They signed with his new company Friday. Friday. The day of Eleanor's funeral. While I was burying my wife, my son was stealing my life's work. There's more, Tom said gently. The forensic accountant found discrepancies in the books, about $300,000 diverted to shell companies over the last 18 months. I thought of Eleanor's chemo treatments, how she'd worried about the cost. We could have afforded better care, experimental treatments, if that money hadn't been stolen. He killed her, I whispered. That money could have saved her. Robert, you can't blame Can't I? She needed treatment in Switzerland. We decided against it because of the cost. $300,000 would have covered it. That afternoon, I called an emergency board meeting. The 12 men and women who'd helped build Foster Construction listened in stunned silence as I laid out my son's betrayal. I propose we take legal action, criminal charges for embezzlement, civil suits for corporate theft, everything. Robert, said Janet Chen, our longest-serving board member, he's your son. No, I said firmly. My son died the same day as his mother. This is just a stranger wearing his face. The vote was unanimous. That evening, I stood in Nathan's childhood room, untouched since he'd left for college. Baseball trophies lined the shelves. Photos of family vacations covered the walls. Eleanor had preserved it all, a shrine to the boy he'd been. I began taking it down, piece by piece. Each photo, each trophy, each memory went into boxes marked for donation. At the bottom of his desk drawer, I found a Father's Day card he'd made in 3rd grade. Crayon drawings of stick figures, him, me, and Eleanor holding hands. Inside, in careful child handwriting, I love you, Daddy. When I grow up, I want to be just like you. I sank onto his childhood bed and wept. If this father's pain moves you, please subscribe to our channel. Every subscription helps us share these important stories about family, betrayal, and redemption. Don't let Robert's story go unheard.
The lawsuit made headlines. Son steals dying mother's treatment money for luxury lifestyle. But the public humiliation was just the beginning of Nathan's fall. The courtroom was packed. Word had spread through our industry, through our community. Everyone wanted to witness the final act of the Foster family tragedy. Nathan sat with his lawyers, designer suit impeccable, as if appearance could mask the ugliness of his actions. Sophia was nowhere to be seen. She'd left him 2 weeks after the inheritance dried up. As I took the stand, I caught Nathan's eye. For just a moment, I saw a flicker of the boy he'd been. Then his lawyer stood, and the mask returned. "Mr. Foster," the prosecutor began, "can you describe the financial impact of your son's actions?" The embezzlement totaled $500,000. The stolen clients represent another $15 million in lost revenue. But the real cost, I paused, looking directly at Nathan, the real cost was my wife's life. "Objection!" Nathan's lawyer shouted. "Sustained." But the damage was done. The jury had heard. Over 3 days, witness after witness testified. Employees Nathan had tried to poach, clients he'd lied to, the forensic accountant who'd traced every stolen penny. But the most damaging testimony came from an unexpected source. The prosecution calls Sophia Winters. Nathan's head snapped up as his ex-wife took the stand. She looked different, smaller somehow, without her designer armor. "Ms. Winters, were you aware of the defendant's activities?" "Yes," she said quietly. "He told me his parents were old, that his father was losing his edge. He said the business was rightfully his. Did you know about the embezzlement?" She nodded. "He said they'd never miss it, that they had more money than they could spend. He used it for our lifestyle, the cars, the vacations, the house." "And the day of Eleanor Foster's funeral?" Sophia's voice cracked. "It was my birthday. I told him we couldn't miss the trip. I said—" She looked at Nathan with something like disgust. "I said his mother was already dead, but I only turned 30 once." The courtroom erupted. The judge called for order. "I was wrong," Sophia continued. "I saw what I'd turned him into, what we'd become. That's why I left." Nathan was found guilty on all charges. 6 years in federal prison, full restitution, and a lifetime ban from the construction industry. As they led him away in handcuffs, he turned to me. "I hope you're happy." "No, I'm not happy. I'm just done enabling you." That night, I visited Eleanor's grave. The roses I'd planted were beginning to bloom. "He's going to prison, Elle," I whispered to the headstone. "Our boy is going to prison." The wind rustled through the roses, and for a moment I could almost hear her voice. "He made his choices, Robert. Now you need to make yours." She was right. She always was.
They say the best revenge is living well, but first I had to learn how to live at all without Eleanor, and without the son I thought I knew. The months after the trial blurred together like watercolors in rain. Foster Construction was in shambles. The scandal had cost us clients, reputation, and morale. I spent 18-hour days rebuilding what Nathan had destroyed, but the nights were worse. The house echoed with Eleanor's absence. One evening, Maria found me asleep at my desk, Eleanor's photo clutched in my hand. "Mr. Foster, you need to go home. Get some rest." "That house isn't home anymore," I admitted. "It's just walls and memories." "Then maybe it's time to make new memories." Her words stayed with me. The next morning, I made 2 decisions that would change everything. First, I established the Eleanor Foster Foundation with the inheritance money, not just for cancer research, but for families affected by it. The first scholarship went to Maria's daughter, a brilliant girl who'd been caring for her sick grandmother while maintaining straight A's.
Mrs. Foster would have loved this, Maria said, through tears. Second, I sold the family home, the place where Nathan had grown up, where Eleanor had tended her roses, where we'd built a life that ultimately crumbled. The proceeds went to the foundation. I moved into a modest apartment downtown, close to the office. No ghosts, no memories, just possibility. Foster Construction slowly recovered. We won back clients through honest work and dedication. I promoted Tom Bradley to president, keeping only a chairman role for myself. It was time for new blood, untainted by the Foster family drama. 6 months into Nathan's sentence, I received a letter. Dad, I know you don't want to hear from me, but I need you to know that I think about Mom every day, about what I did, what I didn't do. Prison gives you time to think, maybe too much time. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I finally understand what I lost. Not the money or the business. I lost my parents. I lost myself. Nathan. I read it 3 times, then filed it away. I wasn't ready. Maybe I'd never be. The foundation grew. We funded treatment for families who couldn't afford it, built a hospice wing at the hospital where Eleanor had spent her final days. At the dedication ceremony, Dr. Martinez, Eleanor's oncologist, pulled me aside. She'd be so proud, Robert. Even in her pain, she talked about helping others. She was always better than me, I said. Better than all of us. No, he said gently. She just loved harder. But look what you've built from that love. That night, I visited Eleanor's grave with news. The foundation had just funded its 100th patient. We're making a difference, El, the way you always wanted to. A year passed. Foster Construction thrived under Tom's leadership. The foundation expanded to 3 cities. I found purpose in board meetings, charity events, and mentoring young entrepreneurs who reminded me of myself 40 years ago, hungry, honest, and hopeful. Then Sophia appeared at my office. Mr. Foster, I know I'm the last person you want to see. She looked different. Simpler clothes, no jewelry except Eleanor's pearl necklace. I wanted to return this, she said, removing the necklace. I don't deserve to wear it. Eleanor left it to you. As a reminder. And it worked. Every time I wore it, I saw her face, heard about her final days. I couldn't... She broke down. Despite everything, I found myself offering her a tissue. I destroyed your family. I turned Nathan into someone even I couldn't recognize. I'm so sorry. We all made choices. Nathan made his. You made yours. Now you have to live with them. She nodded, placing the necklace on my desk. I'm in therapy now, trying to understand why I needed so much. Why nothing was ever enough. After she left, I held Eleanor's necklace up to the light. Maybe someday, I'd give it to someone who truly deserved it. Someone who understood that love wasn't measured in carats or dollars, but in presence and time.
3 years into his sentence, Nathan was released early for good behavior. What happened next would test every lesson Eleanor had taught me about forgiveness. The call came on a Tuesday morning. I was reviewing foundation grant applications when Tom knocked on my door. Robert, there's something you should know. Nathan's being released next week. Early parole. The coffee mug slipped from my hand, shattering on the floor. 3 years. Had it really been 3 years since the trial? Where will he go? I asked. Unknown. But Robert, he's been asking about you. The parole board says he's changed. Genuine rehabilitation, they claim. That night, I couldn't sleep. I found myself in Eleanor's garden. Now the Eleanor Foster Memorial Garden at the local hospital. The roses bloomed magnificently, tended by volunteers who'd heard her story. "What would you do, Elle?" I whispered to the wind. "How did you always find room for forgiveness?" A week later, I was leaving the foundation office when I saw him. Nathan stood across the street, thinner, older, wearing a simple jacket and jeans. Prison had carved lines into his face that matched my own. He didn't approach, just stood there, waiting, asking permission with his presence. I crossed the street. "Hello, Nathan." "Dad." His voice was rough. "I didn't know if... I wasn't sure you'd want to see me." I wasn't sure either. We stood in awkward silence. The son I'd raised, the stranger he'd become, the man he might be now. "I got a job," he said finally. "Construction crew, starting at the bottom. It's honest work." "Good. And I've been going to meetings, therapy, trying to understand how I became what I became." I studied his face, searching for deception, finding none. "I dream about her, Mom, every night. She's in her garden, and she's healthy, and she's smiling. But when I try to approach, she fades away, like she's waiting for something, for me to earn the right to see her again." "Eleanor always believed in redemption," I said carefully, "even when I didn't." "Do you?" His eyes held a desperate hope. "Believe in it?" "I believe in actions, not words. Your mother taught me that love isn't just a feeling, it's what you do every day." Nathan nodded. I know I can't undo what I did. The money, the business, missing her funeral. But I want to try. Not for inheritance or forgiveness, just to be better, to be the man she believed I could be. I thought of Eleanor's final journal entry, one I'd found just last month. "I still believe our boy will find his way back. Not to us, it may be too late for that, but back to himself, back to goodness." The foundation hosts a gala next month. We're raising money for a new children's wing. If you want to volunteer, real volunteer work, not a photo op, you can call Maria. His eyes widened. "You'd let me?" "Eleanor would, but Nathan," I fixed him with a hard stare. "One false step, one hint of the old you, and we're done forever. Understood?" "Understood." I turned to leave, then paused. "She loved you until the end. Even when you broke her heart, she never stopped loving you." "I know," he whispered. "That's what makes it worse." If this story of potential redemption moves you, please like and share this video. Every share helps spread Eleanor's message that love and forgiveness can transform even the deepest wounds.
5 years after Eleanor's death, I stood in her garden one final time. What happened that day would finally bring our broken family's story full circle. The Eleanor Foster Foundation's 5th anniversary gala was our most successful yet. The ballroom sparkled with light and laughter, filled with families whose lives we'd touched. Cancer survivors, scholarship recipients, doctors, and donors, all united by Eleanor's legacy. I watched from the balcony as Nathan worked the registration table. 2 years of consistent volunteer work had earned him a place here, though always under watchful eyes. He'd kept every promise, shown up for every shift, never asked for recognition or special treatment. "He's different," Maria said, joining me. "Really different." "Maybe," I conceded. "Eleanor always saw potential I couldn't." She saw it in everyone. That was her gift. As the evening progressed, I gave my annual speech about Eleanor, about love and loss,
about building beauty from ashes. The audience was moved to tears, but I barely noticed. My eyes had found Nathan in the crowd, tears streaming down his face. After the gala, I found him in Eleanor's memorial garden, kneeling by her favorite rose bush. "I used to hate these flowers," he said without looking up. "The time she spent on them, the attention they got. I was jealous of roses. How pathetic is that?" "You were young." "I was selfish." He stood, facing me. "Dad, I need to tell you something. I've been seeing someone. Her name is Amy. She's a social worker, helps cancer patients navigate treatment. We met at the foundation." I raised an eyebrow. "She knows everything," he continued quickly, "about Mom, about what I did. She almost walked away when I told her. But she said something that sounded like Mom. She said everyone deserves a chance to grow. And I want to do this right, build something real, honest, the opposite of what I had before." He pulled out a small box. "I bought a ring, saved for a year, but I won't propose without your blessing. I won't build a future on the foundation of our broken past." I stared at the simple solitaire. Not flashy, not expensive, just honest. "What would Eleanor say?" I asked. "She'd say love isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up every day." He smiled sadly. "I'm trying to learn that." That night, I went home and pulled out Eleanor's last journal. In it, I'd tucked the Father's Day card Nathan had made as a child. Next to it, I placed a photo from tonight, Nathan helping an elderly cancer patient to her seat, unaware of my camera. Two versions of my son, the boy he was, the man he was becoming. The next morning, I called Nathan. "Bring Amy to Sunday dinner," I said. "It's time." The dinner was awkward at first. Amy was nervous, Nathan tense, and I was guarding my heart like Fort Knox. But as the evening wore on, something shifted. Amy spoke passionately about her work, about patients who reminded her of Eleanor. Nathan listened with attention I'd never seen from him before. When Amy excused herself, Nathan and I were left alone. "She's nothing like Sophia," I observed. "No," he agreed. "She's like Mom. She sees the best in people even when they don't deserve it." Eleanor would have liked her. "Really?" "Really." 6 months later, I walked Nathan down the aisle of the courthouse for a simple ceremony. Amy wore Eleanor's pearl necklace. I'd given it to her the night before. "She should be here," Nathan said, his voice thick. "She is," I replied. "In every lesson learned, every choice made right, she's here." As they exchanged vows, I felt Eleanor's presence like sunshine. My boy had found his way home, not to the house we'd shared, but to the values we'd tried to teach. The story could end there, but life had one more chapter. A year later, Amy placed a bundle in my arms. "Meet Eleanor Amy Foster," she whispered. "We hope she grows up to be half the woman her grandmother was." I held my granddaughter, tears flowing freely. Nathan stood beside me, the man his mother always believed he could become. "I'll tell her stories about Grandma Eleanor," he promised, "about her roses, her kindness, her forgiveness, about how love can survive even the worst betrayals." "We both will," I said. That evening, I visited Eleanor's grave one last time, carrying baby Eleanor. "We made it, Elle," I whispered. "Not the way we planned, but we made it. Your boy came home." The roses bloomed around us, and for the first time in 5 years, I felt complete. Not healed. Some wounds never fully heal, but whole. Ready to build new memories on the foundation of old love. The Eleanor Foster Foundation continues to grow, touching thousands of lives. Nathan serves on the board now, having earned his place through years of service. He tells his story at fundraisers, a cautionary tale of greed and redemption that moves donors to tears and generosity.
But the real legacy lives in a little girl with Eleanor's eyes and Nathan's smile, who will grow up knowing that love isn't measured in money or gifts, but in presence, time, and the courage to change. In her garden, the roses still bloom, and somewhere, I know, Eleanor is smiling.